The prognosis is not good. We've done everything we can. But the situation is still critical. Don't stop taking your medication. Make sure you eat right. That's all I can advise you." The doctor turned and left the room, leaving Teo alone with his mother. Lena was in for treatments and they had to listen to a lecture from the doctor. "Son, what do you think you're going to do next?" "I don't know, Mom. Lena's sick, and I don't see a way out." "Teo, don't kill your life for that invalid, divorce her." "Why would you do that? How long are you going to play the honorable man? I'm begging you, leave her alone." "She'll die soon enough, Mom. How can I leave her now?" "When? Are you going to wait until her coffin lid is closed? Do you want to be a widower? Leave her, think of yourself. You're young, you'll get married, have kids. And forget about Lena like a bad dream. You've done everything you can, and you've been running around with her for years. What's the use?" Mom, maybe you're right. Lena didn't care a long time ago. She had long known that her mother-in-law did not love her. The news of her husband was not a surprise to her. Divorce. Once such a terrible word for her, now was an empty sound. What did it matter where she died? In her husband's apartment or not? The treatment had failed, and at any moment she could now die. So why torture her husband? She obediently agreed to his terms. She signed the divorce papers, the divorce from the property. What's it for now? The house looked dilapidated and abandoned. Theo brought her here. He inherited this house from his great-grandmother. But no one had lived here since she died. He gave it to Lena as a ransom. Far from the city, no civilization. A small, God-forsaken settlement, with only a dozen inhabitants left on the whole street. Lena sighed heavily. How to live here? She had no idea. But there's nothing to be done. Somehow it will be. I won't be coming here. You should have enough medicine for the first time. You can unload the groceries yourself. Here's the money for the first time. I'll send more. Theo turned around, got into the car and drove away, leaving a confused Lena at the very threshold of the house. She had no choice but to go inside. The weakness from the hospital and the illness had not yet passed, and it was hard to stand. The house was damp and cold. Spring was just beginning, and there was a slight chill in the air. The woman was cold. She needed to warm up. Surveying the house for batteries or heaters, it was clear that there was no such luxury in this place. An old fireplace with cracked trim looked sad and unreliable. Outside, Lyra found a neat stack of firewood, whitened by weather and time. It wasn't much, but it should be enough to keep her warm. There was even coal in the barn. It remained to figure out how to light it all. Never before had a woman done such a thing. The house filled with acrid smoke as soon as the paper began to smolder in the stove. Lyra coughed, hurriedly opened all the windows and the door. She herself went outside. Her eyes were watering, and her hands were soiled with soot. Are you a city girl or something? Lena jumped in surprise when she heard a woman's voice. Wiping her eyes with her sleeve, she saw a woman who looked to be her age. Hello, yes. I just got here. She waved her hands as if this gesture could contain all the despair that had gripped Lena. I see. Do you need any help? Thank you. Sure. And then she watched the woman's confident movements. I'm Cleo, your neighbor. Well, who makes a fire like that? How do you do it? I didn't know. Lyra said it in such a voice that Cleo stopped talking and looked at her carefully. Did something happen to you? Oh, nothing. My husband just brought me here. Why? Did you have a fight? No. To die. She didn't know why she'd told this random acquaintance. But maybe that was why she was relieved that someone else knew. Cleo's eyes widened like plosives, and she looked like a sad cat from a cartoon. Lena became amused, and she started laughing. Your jokes aren't funny. I'm not joking. I'm sick. The doctors have already tried everything. And my husband was tired, so he brought me here. So, do you agree? Or he'll force you here. No, I agreed to it. He's a fool to bring his sick wife to such a remote place. Come on, what's the difference? By the way, I'm Lena. And thank you for helping me out. You're welcome. You're welcome if you need anything. The logs were crackling pleasantly in the fireplace, spreading a pleasant warmth around. Cleo washed her hands and said goodbye, promising to drop by again sometime. She left, leaving Lynn alone with his thoughts. She didn't feel like thinking about anything. She lay down on the old bed and fell asleep without even undressing. She woke up to a pounding sound. Someone was pounding on the door. Her body was stiff and cold. The logs in the stove had long since burned out, and the cold was getting under her clothes. Cleo stood on the threshold. Are you asleep or what? Stop sleeping, it's almost noon. Here. She shoved a bag of something heavy into the sleepy Lena's hands. What's this? A cure for all diseases. The woman chuckled. In the bag were 2 jars of milk and whey, a tray of cottage cheese and a jar of cream. There were also pears and a bag of some herbs. It's all homemade. The pears are winter pears, sweet as honey, eat them. And the sack was given to me by my grandmother. She knows herbs. She said to brew it and drink it once a day. It's strong. Thank you very much. You eat up and let's get to work. There's nothing to do. Where to work? Here, of course. Or do you plan to live like this? No. Then let's fire up the fireplace, heat some water, put some rags in our hands and do some cleaning. Lena didn't know what to say. Such hospitality was new to her. The simplicity with which Cleo addressed her confused her. Cleo, why do you need all this? Simple. Why don't you? I'll help you out and dispel your boredom. We don't have much to talk to around here. At least you're not deaf like my grandmother. All day long they scrubbed, washed, took out the trash, heated water, beat the dust. The skin on Lena's arms wrinkled and reddened. But she didn't die. But she felt alive for the first time in a long time. They became friends with Cleo. She came to Lena every day and kept her from falling into depression. Always found something to do, amused her, distracted her from sad thoughts. Gradually, the old abandoned house began to transform. The windows sparkled with cleanliness. Cracks on the walls were covered with clay and whitewashed. Now the house could be seen from afar. The weeds in the yard disappeared and the brightly colored flowers they had planted together with Lena grew. And there was even a dog. Cleo had brought him. Slipped the little puppy into her hands without asking permission. It's a doggy. You give him a bed in the old kennel and milk. When he grows up, he'll be your guardian. And then came the cat. She just came to her doorstep one day and ate food from Lynn's hands. She stayed forever. With the neighbors' help, there were chickens, and even one goose, and then a little piglet. Grandma Cleo kept passing on her herbs like that. Lyra did not even guess whether they worked or the medicine, but it seemed that the disease receded. There wasn't even any pain or weakness. Lyra was living. And she liked it. She had no time to mope and be sick. Every morning her household and her friend were waiting for her. One day Lena sat in the shade under a tree and chopped nuts. She wanted to mix them with honey for the winter. She didn't even notice how a man's figure grew in front of her. Looking up, Lena was surprised. She hadn't seen this face for a year. It turned out to be an eternity, as if in another life altogether. She rose to her feet. "Hello, Theo." "Lena." He drove, expecting anything but what he saw. Theo thought Lena wasn't alive. He wanted to make sure. But instead he saw a healthy and beautiful woman. And the house was transformed. Her eyes shone. Her hair shone. And gone was the unhealthy thinness. "Lena, how?" was all her ex-husband could utter. "I don't know, Theo. Maybe the medicine helped. Maybe it was the climate, the environment. Or the herbs. Whatever. Either way, I'm grateful for everything. You don't have to come anymore. You've been around long enough. I don't hold a grudge." They talked some more. And then he left, saying goodbye forever. And Lena stayed. She really didn't know why she was still alive. But she was okay with it. The disease had receded, maybe not forever, but now she was healthy, alive and full of energy. Cleo would be here soon. And together they'll go to the woods for strawberries. And then they'll make flavorful jam. It doesn't matter what happens next. What matters is what she has now. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next videos. Subscribe to our channel. Have a good day.